episode 424 of Cinematary. I'm your host, Zach Dennis, and I'm here with
Grace. Hi.
And Grace and I are welcoming you into the spooky season. Happy Halloween. Yeah. With our Horror for Kids series, we're starting it off with 1990s The Witches, because we had to have one fucked up children's movie that is in this series. And this one's covers
doozy.
that. Yeah. Before we talk about that, we're going to do movies that we saw this week, including Grace giving us the 411 on Hocus Pocus 2. For those who listened to the last Horror for Kids a couple years ago, Grace talked about Hocus Pocus. So, as the foremost scholar in Hocus Pocusology, yeah, we're the only one that we had access to. You guys talk about it. So,
I do.
Without further ado, I'm going to send it over there to you, and we're going to talk a little Hocus Pocus too.
Sure. I had fun. Isn't that what it's about? Having fun? I remember discovering Hocus Pocus on Disney Channel. Wow, what a discovery. And loving it. I wanted to be a witch. I loved the music. I had a crush on the boy whose name is Max, I think. Anne Thackeray Binks the cat. Very formative. And I remember wanting more. I need a second one. I need a sequel. This isn't enough. And there wasn't one until now. And like I said, I had fun. I don't know if it really satisfied that, like filled that hole in my heart that I was missing. It felt like they did a very nice job. They took us all the way back. They showed us the Sanderson sisters when they were small girls, when they were little girls, and that was very sweet. It showed some more of their like sisterly bond and how close they were. Establishing them as like a real coven of witches and not just sisters. So like there's powerful tie that bonds them together. Tony Hale is in this, right? Like
Buster?
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing here? He was great. He was really funny. He plays the town reverend, and of course, as a reverend, he hates the Sanderson sisters. They're witches.
Mm-hmm.
And then we jump forward to present day, and we have these young high school girls, the new coven, so that the old witches and the new witches and the lineage. We are the daughters of the witches. You couldn't burn.
Who out of the three returning witches? Who did anybody stand out to you? Who was?
Oh yeah. Great. So I have first of all, Kathy Najimy, like from the beginning, like as Mary, like she did a lot more this time around.
Mm-hmm.
And she was always funny. Bette Midler is just as charming as ever. She made me cry. Well, made me tear up. I don't know if I was going to tell you guys. I don't know if I was going to say I cried. I hadn't decided yet if I was going to be.
This is a no judgment zone. So.
Okay, I did. I teared up because there was a moment of vulnerability from Winifred, like the cold, frigid bitch Winifred, you know. She had this moment of vulnerability, and it really like got to me. And it's like, that's Bette, like that's how powerful she is.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sarah Jessica Parker, she was as beautiful and as funny as ever. She made me laugh. Like it wasn't just like silly ditzy like hot bimbo. It was like there was some real timing there. And then she had a moment where she like stood up and had some backbone, and that was really refreshing to see.
I feel like that's probably cool because didn't she make the first one? Was it pre-Sex in the City?
Oh, I don't know, but maybe.
I feel like she's super young in it.
Yeah, I remember. I saw recently where she was on like some like late night show saying that like she didn't really remember being in like at this point.
Yeah,
before the second one, she didn't really remember being in it. It was like so early in her career.
The Hocus Pocus came out in '93, and Sex and the City aired for the first time in '98. So like,
okay, so yeah.
so like you've had a whole different like since the first movie, she's like entered the pop culture consciousness in a whole
Right.
different way.
So she's forgotten that part of her career, and that that's what she said. She's like, I don't really have a whole lot of memories from it.
I was just there to get a check. That's what you like. That's what the fans like to hear.
Yeah, I needed the money, and it's
Yeah.
like, you're just like me. I needed the money too.
Did the passing the torch to the next generation storyline work for you? That's usually the route that the like long overdue sequels for stuff do.
Yeah, like they can't reprise these roles in the same way. Maybe the same story isn't there. Like the audience changes, so we need to pass it on to this like newer generation that like better represents them. For me, no, because I came back for them. Like, as I was saying to you earlier, like the tagline is "We're back." It's like, I'm back too. Like, here I am. I'm back again for more Hocus Pocus.
Mhm.
Like, I can't get enough for it. So no, because I want more of the Sanderson sisters. But now we have these cute young Zoomers who are like witchy Wicca. They're sweet little outsiders, just like the Sanderson sisters. They're sisters in a different way because they've been best friends since they were younger.
Mhm.
They're like little girls. They were girls together. Like, that's a phrase that always like rips at my heart, but they were girls together. So they get to stay that way. And they get to share this like magical power that they've stumbled upon together, and it's lovely. But no, it didn't work for me. I want more Sanderson sisters. I'm a purist. But there was a lot of, and then this was also like this was kind of fun. There was a lot more singing in this. I don't know if I liked that or didn't, but like I said, I had fun. They do their like big musical number to One Way or Another instead of I Put a Spell on You.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an original song that's like, we're back.
Mm.
But it's good.
That's
time.
good.
It was a good way to kick off my October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's always the thing with like the like long overdue sequel ones. Is like you kind of want to. I feel like whenever, especially the ones when they trade off to like the younger generation, you're just kind of like, yeah, I don't care about them. I kind of want to watch the people. I want to watch the people that I remember. But I guess that's kind of. I mean, like it's kind of one of those. Where do you go from here? Like, you're not gonna make any more Hocus Pocus movies without the three women from them. Nobody's gonna watch that. They're not gonna watch the three young ones.
I mean, I'm probably not. I don't know. They're not really talking about it. Everything that I saw was this, like, shout out to Bet, like, thank you for doing this for us, because it was like thanks to her like pushing and prodding that we really got it.
Yeah.
So of course that's why they had to like rely so heavily on the original, because it's like, this is what got us here. We can't let that go. But then those like bits become shtick, and then you see the joke coming from a mile away. So it's like, yeah, they probably can't get much more mileage beyond the second movie. At least there's something like fresh. And then the generation of witches that watched original Hocus Pocus, it looks like a lot of them have kids, like from what I saw on social media. So they're showing this to their children.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets the job done for Disney, the magic of Disney, something that you can share with your family.
It got them their views.
Yeah, got them their views, got them their money. And I would recommend it. I would go watch it. You will want to watch the first one right after, if not,
or just watch the first one before,
or just watch the first one.
Yeah, and then watch it.
It's worth it. We get to see, Billy Butcherson. He's in it. He plays a much bigger role. There's a romance. There's a new cat in town. Oh, like chills, thrills, spills. Good times had by all.
Okay, I could see them making like a series. Like a
TV show, like scary.
Yeah, with the little the new ones. I can see him doing that.
That'd be more fun. It could take place at the high school, Samuel Skeleton High. Did you hear me? Samuel Skeleton High. That was the name of the Sam Skeleton.
His last name was on his birth certificate. It said Skeleton.
I didn't see the birth certificate. His name on the building is Samuel Skeleton. So please, Mr. Skeleton is my father.
I'm Samuel.
It's very silly. The Fighting Samuels.
That's what they went with a.
No, I don't know what
I was gonna say
no, they're the Fighting Skeletons. I'm sure.
Yeah, I was like, skeletons in the name, man.
It's right there.
All right, so Samuel Skeleton High School. What should our mascot be?
The battling corpses.
Yeah, the fighting Samuels. Well, what about skeletons? No,
it doesn't have the same ring.
The Fighting Samuels. What if they?
That's all I got for you.
I imagine they just took a giant left turn and were like, yeah, we're the Mavericks.
No,
we're the star. We're
the Bears.
We're the Tigers. Yeah, we're the Bears. The Skeleton High School Bears.
Skeleton High School Vampires. Skeleton High School Werewolves.
This is the question that Hocus Pocus 2 didn't answer, so you have to have a third movie just to answer the question of what the Skeleton High School mascot
Put me on the writing squad. Look, I'm right here. Look at all these new ideas.
Yeah.
Disney.
All right. Well, on an entirely different level and completely, I watched Swamp Water, which is a movie from 1941 about people hanging out in the swamp. This is a fact. What's that?
Been there, done that.
Yeah, right. It's kind of a fascinating movie. It's the first movie that they ever filmed on location that takes place in the state of Georgia. And they filmed it on location at the Okefenokee Swamp in South Georgia. And then it's also interesting because it's the first American movie by Jean Renoir, who I think is more famous for his French movies, The Rules of the Game, which we talked about on the podcast before, Grand Illusion, Baudu, Saved from Drowning, things like that, French Can. But this one, he's escaping. He had just escaped France, which was getting with the rise of Nazism in Germany, it was starting to get a little hairy in Europe, and so he fled Europe to come to America. But this was the first movie that he made in America, and he was very adamant that he wanted to film parts of it in the actual swamp. And I think it was Warner Brothers was just like, man, that seems no, let's chill out a little bit. But they finally relented and let him shoot some stuff, and it pays off because this movie it's kind of it's black and white, and it has this noir-ish feel, and it literally opens. You get this close up on a skull, and then they pan it out, and it's a skull on a cross, and they keep panning out, and it's a skull on a cross that's just sitting in the swamp, and I'm like, this rocks. I'm this is awesome.
Yeah.
So on that level, it's great. All the kind of cinematography, whenever they're in the swamp and he's just filming around the swamp, it's awesome. The story's not great. It's pretty. The story is, so you have Dana Andrews plays this good old boy, just trying to live my life guy who lives out in a little small Georgia town outside the swamp. And one day he was out there and his dog got away, so he's I'm going back into the swamp to find my dog. And they're I don't know about that, Dana Andrews. And he's nope, I'm doing it. And so then when he's in the swamp, he comes across a fugitive played by Walter Brennan. Shout out to Walter Brennan, also always great. Who was accused of killing somebody, but he feels that he says that he was falsely accused, and so rather than he's supposed to get hanged, and he escaped and has been hiding in the swamp for years. And so he said, so he and the Dana Andrews character set up this deal where he's going to help him hunt and do some trapping, and they're going to split the money because the fugitive character wants to give half the money that they make to his daughter, who is living in town and has changed her name and is trying to, get past her sordid past with her, with the father. And so Yeah, it kind of gets boring. You have this whole storyline with like with that going on, and then like they like somehow like discover that he's working with the fugitive, and they like outcast him for a while. Ward Bond's in it. He's this like rival trapper. And you have this whole thing where they're figuring out that like the other two people, the other two trappers in town actually killed the guy who Walter Brennan's character was. It's just, it kind of gets all convoluted and kind of silly. Quite honestly, while watching it, I was like, with the way that the swamp looks, it would have been cool if he like happened upon a fugitive in the swamp, but the fugitive was like a Cape Fear, Night of the Hunter, Robert Mitchum character who was just fucking terrifying. And then it was like a horror movie in the swamp. I'm like, that would be awesome.
Well, you described, like, you said you watched Swamp Water. It took place in the swamp, and we're talking, and it's October. So I'm like, and then the creature from the Black Lagoon crawls out. And I was waiting for you to say that, and then you never did. And I'm like, I'm never going to watch this movie.
It does have some, like,
maybe I will. I don't know.
It does have some good, like, alligators, like, swimming around, you know, scenes, and, like, snakes and stuff. But I'm like, yeah,
that's there.
Yeah, I just feel like it would have been a lot cooler if it was like a horror movie and like they were utilizing the swamp to its advantage and just like made it like literally the plot could be he lost his dog, he's looking for the dog, and then this fugitive's chasing him around the swamp and he can't get out. I would have watched that.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. But the only action you get is like at the end, they like acquit the fugitive character. They're like, all right, we found out that you actually didn't kill this guy, so you can come home. So then the two guys who actually killed the person are like waiting out in the swamp, and so like while Dana Andrews and Walter Brennan are like trying to exit, they're like trying to kill them. But it's even that's kind of lame. One of the people gets sucked into like this like mud quicksand stuff and dies, and that was kind of like, oh shit. But that's about the extent of the action that you get. So still liked it though. I would recommend if you want to just like enjoy like some creepy swamp cinematography vibes and like black and white. It's like, I mean, it's literally like a noir movie that's shot in the Okefenokee swamp. I'd recommend it on that level. Like I said, Walter Brennan's great. Dana Andrews is great. But yeah, the story's kind of lame, but I kind of just look past that. But Swamp Water, it was on Criterion Channel, but I think they took it off. And so you can find a decent cut of it on YouTube. But it's neat. I don't know. It's yeah. I like if I rewrote it, I would have made it more of a horror movie.
If I rewrote it, I would have made it better. That's what I'm hearing. Respect. I admire your confidence. Would you recommend it as a Halloween movie for this month?
No, like, it's not. No. I would watch it after October. Yeah, it's not really a horror movie. It's more. It's it's not really a horror movie. Again, it could have been. I would have made right it. I would have put a nice. I would have made like a nice. Like have Cape Fear, Robert Mitchum chasing him around the swamp. Mm-hmm. That would have been fun. Because there's this scene where like he first meets Walter Brennan's character and he's like on the ground, like crawling around these like tall grass and shit. And like Dana Andrews is sitting there like trying not to fall asleep at this at the fire. And he's like crawling around and then he just like throws this thing and like hits him and knocks him out. I'm like, yeah, this is the shit that we want.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
You see like a grown man crawling like on all fours. I'm like, ugh.
Well, you don't even see
at me. No.
You don't even see. You just like see like you can kind of like see shadows of his face, and you just see him like kind of moving around. It's pretty like when it wants to be a horror movie, it's pretty fucking.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's good. But then it's just like, no, we're good.
That was all I got. I scared myself. Do you think? He's like, oh, that's too scary.
He was like, oh. Well, his genre and why he's like, ho ho ho, that is too scary for my French mind. I must not do that.
J'ai peur.
J'ai peur. Oh, it's too scary. We are in Georgia. Anyway, Swamp Water.
Swamp Water. Not confused with the famous Swamp Water shot in the La Florida Panhandle's finest dive bars. Yeah. Yeah, go up to a bartender and ask for swamp water and see what you get. And tell me what you get.
And tell them, now this is a reference to the 1941 genre noir film Swamp Water, starring Walter Brennan and Walter Houston.
And they know.
And they'll be like, I've seen that 1,000 times.
I thought that's what you meant. I wasn't sure.
I didn't want to assume.
Yeah.
They'll immediately know what you're talking about.
Let's see. Let's start that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be back talking about some witches after this.
Witches.
Episode 424 of Cinematary. In this part, we are going to be kicking off our Horror for Kids series with 1990's The Witches, directed by Nicholas Roeg, from a script by Alan Scott and based on the book of the same name by Roald Dahl. The film stars Angelica Houston, Mai Zetterling, Jason Fisher, and Rowan Atkinson. While staying at a hotel in England with his grandmother, Helga, young Luke inadvertently spies on a convention of witches. The Grand High Witch reveals a plan to turn all children into mice through a magical formula. When they find that Luke has overheard the witches test the formula on him. Now, with the help of Helga and the hotel manager, Mr. Stringer, Luke the mouse must fight back against the witches. I disagree with that plot line. The hotel manager does nothing.
He didn't do it. Yeah, he's in the way, if anything.
Yeah. Jim Henson Company produced the movie, and Henson's Creature Shop designed and built the prosthetics for the witches and animatronic rats and mice that were used interchangeably with real mice. This was also the last movie that Jim Henson personally worked on before he died. And he died before he got to see the finished product.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so sad. It's so good.
Angelica Houston required 2 hours of prosthetics and makeup each morning when she portrayed the Grand High Witch. There were 3 different sizes of mice: life-size, 3 times larger, and a hand puppet 9 times bigger than life-sized. And I saw a picture of Jim Henson with it, and it literally was this giant rat that they would use for some of the scenes.
Oof.
Yeah. During the shoot, Rowan Atkinson caused a Mr. Bean-style calamity when he left the bath taps running in his room. With the frantically knocking porter was told, "Go away, I'm asleep." The flood rode off much of the production team's electrical equipment on the flow below. Also, at the time of filming, Houston was dating Jack Nicholson, who frequently phoned the hotel and sent huge flower bouquets, much to the excitement of the staff. Director Nicholas Roeg later cut scenes he thought would be too scary for children after seeing his young son's reaction to the original cut, which I can only imagine what those were.
It's so scary.
Yeah. Roald Dahl was incensed that Henson had changed his original ending in the script. As a gesture of conciliation, Henson offered to film 2 versions before he made his final choice. The book version, where Luke remains a mouse, and the happier version, where he is transformed back into a human. During the editing process, Dahl watched an early cut of the film with his original ending, and the final scene brought him to tears. However, Henson and Roeg decided to go with the happier ending, which resulted in Dahl stating that he would launch a publicity campaign against the film if his name was not removed from the credits. He was only dissuaded from this on the urging of Jim Henson. On the 2021 remake of the film by Robert Zemeckis, Houston said, quote, "I don't really know why they're making it, because I think Nick Roeg made the ultimate witches. Frankly, best of luck to them. I hope it works. I just can't imagine anyone trying to remake that particular film. Maybe it's a good idea for this generation." The LA Times in 1990 said, "It's no grimmer than the Brothers Grimm, no deeper or richer than Hans Christian Andersen. What it shows again is the secret of Jim Henson's vast appeal, his respect for children and their intelligence. Unlike many adult movie makers, Henson believed his core audience capable of appreciating wit, irony, topical humor, idealism, intense emotion, and bemused reflections on real life and all its complexity. All these and more are present in The Witches." The New York Times in 1990 said, "The Witches resembles a brilliantly told bedtime story, though the teller of this children's tale may well be the slightly cracked relative who can't judge when scary stories become nightmares." And Roger Ebert in 1990 said, "The result is that the movie might be too intense for smaller viewers, although some of them these days seem hardened to anything. But The Witches is an intriguing movie, ambitious and inventive, and almost worth seeing just for Angelica Houston's obvious delight in playing a completely uncompromised villainess." On that note, let's talk a little bit about it. Grace, this is your second time seeing The Witches, so how was that experience like?
I think the first time I was just I was it was like a party. A couple of us had gotten together and it was October and we put on Witches. I'd never seen it before. And it was kind of one of those things where you're watching it with your friends and you're not really watching it. You're kind of making fun of it. You're trying to be funny, like who can be the wittiest, who has like fastest line, who caught that, like. So I didn't really feel like I watched it, and this time I'm
really good at that game.
Yeah, I believe it. I look at you and I know that. And so I didn't really feel like I watched it. By the time we got to the end, we were kind of all like tired of playing that game, and we just kind of sat quietly. And then that's when I really got to experience the movie, and I was very moved by the ending. And I didn't know, because I didn't read the book. I didn't know that there was the real ending. He stays a mouse. That sucks. I don't like that. I like this movie ending. I love the magic of movies, and I love that he gets to be turned back into a little boy. Like,
I do like his whole little like mouse apparatus that they have at the house with like the little like car and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, like they had totally adapted. Like it was not going to slow them down. They're like, this, give us something hard, you know? Yeah. Like we're fine. But it's also like, yay, now you don't have to because he's your grandson again. So I prefer that, but that's when I was really dialed in. This second time, I was dialed in the whole time, and I was terrified.
It's a spooky movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even like without the prosthetics and stuff, like the way that Nicholas Roeg, like the angles he takes and shooting like the witches as the, you know, when they're like reacting to stuff, like he'll like do like these kind of like up close up shots, and they're like, you know, acting up to the camera.
Yeah, the way they move, is frightening. There's a lot of different elements that are of this that's very scary, like when he's a mouse and they're playing cat and mouse. It's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And there's the story that the movie starts with. That's what really frightened me the most, this bedtime story that turned into a nightmare, like you said just a second ago, about grandma's little friend from her village, you know, being the object of a witch's desire, fantasy, hunger, I don't know. And her being transported into a painting, that was terrifying.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like that whole sequence, well, it wasn't terrifying to me. It was just like unsettling. Like I was like, I'm very unsettled by this. Like you just have this whole storyline with the girl going to get milk for her dad, and then the witch abducts her, and then she's like aging in the painting. You're like, this is deeply unsettling, and this is like a children's movie.
She lives her whole life inside that painting, grows old, completely alone, away from everyone, and her family only just sees her in that. Like that's It's so frightening.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid. I feel like I was like tucked in with like the blanket up to my chin, just like, oh my gosh, like just shaking. Like, I promise I'll be good, Grandma. Like,
I won't look at the witches.
I won't be bad. Yeah, like it's frightening. I mean that like the storytelling, the folklore aspect of it, was so enticing, and so terrifying.
Yeah.
Like I like it felt so familiar. It's like, oh, I know what this is like, being told a story by an elder, and then I'm so afraid, and how is this gonna go? And then we keep going with this movie, and
Yeah, I like that the first 15 minutes is just her like telling him stories about stuff.
yeah, so we know, so now lucky
And then they
us.
just kill his parents.
Yeah, God. Well,
not?
whatever, they weren't there.
Why not? They couldn't just
whatever.
be like, hey, we got to go work. You're going to stay with your grandma. And then they go on vacation. It was, no, let's just kill them.
There's gotta be a tragedy, right? I don't know.
It doesn't seem to phase him that much.
Yeah, no, he's really mature about it.
He's just like, oh, well, it happens.
Like, yeah.
Anyway,
This just adds to my backstory, my tragic backstory.
I could be a Disney hero at this point.
Yeah, with a dead mom. Like, I'm shooting.
No, so this is my first time watching this. It was fun. It was great because it was just like spooky and unsettling the entire time. It's not it is scary, but it's not like it's not like horror movie like jump scare like Michael Myers scary. It's just like scary in this like almost like this uncomfortableness. Like it's we had to have one movie that we kind of identified for the series because we did it last time with Return to Oz, which is like not necessarily, that movie's pretty scary, but like not necessarily traditionally scary, but more just like stuff is happening in between like the production, like how they've set up the costumes and characters to how they shot it. You're just very deeply unnerved by the entire experience, and this one was kind of our selection for that because it's always fascinating to watch these, especially like my thought while watching this is how the hell did they like put this out for children, because it's just such a odd kind of, especially for like a younger audience member, would like frightening experience, because like you get to the hotel and he's sitting there watching the whole how like the convention of witches, like they have their like witches meeting, and you have like the scene where Angelica Houston like pulls off her face, and then there's just like the grotesque grand high witch, and you're just like just the whole sequence of her ripping off her face and then like looking like that, you're just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, that's really scary. But then I think they do a really good job. They sort of double back and show the kids it's a mask. Like, you've seen this in Scooby-Doo. It's just a mask. It's just a costume. Like, I think they do a really good job of like scaring and then comforting throughout the entire movie. So I was never really scared for very long. Like, at the end of the story, his grandma's right there to tuck him into bed. Like, it's okay. It's just a story.
I was disappointed that the grandma didn't like become like witch hunter grandma. I thought
like badass, like.
Like I thought, like I wanted her to like open a trunk and be like, I thought I was gonna give this away a long time ago, and then like pull out like a stake.
Yeah.
Or something. Well, like that's what I wanted.
Take it up with Roald Dahl in his grave, Take it to your rewrite.
I was just waiting for her to be like, I gave this up a long time ago, and then like pull out like some like witch gun or something.
Some
like
John Wick. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. Like,
yeah. That's what I was hoping for, and it never happened. I was like, dang.
Poisoned American brain. Just
there's also, just like, and I think this is what's great about the movie, and Ebert mentioned it a little bit, because like Angelica Houston is just like enjoying the hell out of the entire thing, and like you kind of get sucked into that because like it's very the whole like plot that they're trying to do, where they're gonna like poison all. They're gonna like open candy shops and poison the candy with this potion that like turns kids into, or turns whoever eats it into a mouse, and they're gonna like poison all the children of England. You're just like, Jesus Christ, they're just gonna go and poison every child in England and turn them into a mouse.
Yeah, that's what the plan is.
It seems like absurd, but at the same time, you're like the way that she presents it is just so like uncompromised. Like he said it in such a way, like a great way. Like it's such an like she's just like, we're gonna do it. Like she's so evil, but not like over the top evil. It's almost like matter of fact. Like, this is what we're doing. We're gonna go get rid of all the children in England.
Yeah, it's a really good plan. She paints these English kids to be like such gluttons, and that it'll absolutely work. And it's the most logical plan. Why didn't they think of this sooner? It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's like quite honestly, I can't argue with it. Like if they wanted to turn like a lot of kids,
because she'll set you on fire if you argue with her. We can't get all the children. You remember that witch? That one witch had to open her mouth. That one negative witch had to open her mouth during that meeting.
Negative Nancy there. Yeah. But no, like it's a you know, I'm not gonna argue with the whole like, you know, there's a lot of kids. I was out this weekend. There's just a lot of little things running around, screaming and shit. I'm like, you should turn into a mouse.
If you were a mouse, it would solve a lot of problems.
I saw some like contemporary reviews of this that's complain that this movie is anti-women.
What?
Because like the women are you know, the witches are just like these grotesque evil creatures.
Oh, yeah. They said that like ugly women are witches. Women that wear like sensible, boring shoes, they're usually a witch. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes people have to wear orthopedics. World, like that seems very pigeonhole people like that.
I love, again, it goes back to like how Nicholas Roeg shot the film, but like the whole encounter between Luke and the witch, like outside his grandmother's house, is, again, it's such a like, it's not a scary sequence, but it's just like a very like uncomfortable, you know, the way not only that she's like tempting him, but also like he just like gets close up and like the actress kind of has like just like she like contorts her head around and like has these big eyes and stuff, and like really like like has her teeth wide,
like you can see all of her,
like it was such a amazing like physical performance, because she kind of just contorted herself in this way that became almost like it reminded me of like characters in you know, like Henry Selick stop motion movies of like just like these deeply unsettling characters, like the other mother and like Coraline or something.
Familiar enough, but still a stranger. You see eyes, face, lips, but they're flared. She is very close, very like urgent as she's talking to him, and the things she says, she can't hear you about grandma, like that's terrifying. And like I said, like this movie does such a good job of scaring and comforting, because then here comes grandma and he's crying and he's like, she was here. And I believe you. I believe you. I know she was.
I know. And then like throws a javelin.
Like that feels so good. Like you're not alone. You're not alone. I'm so sorry that your parents are dead, little boy, but grandma's here. Grandma's going to make it okay. She believes you. She knows that there are witches here and she'll protect you. Like that feels really good. Like, so, you know, that there's just one thing I noticed a lot.
And the way even he shoots the witches meeting outside of just Angelica Houston's character, who's very like you have like the prosthetics, it's very pronounced, her whole thing, but just like the costume and wardrobe job and everything on and the makeup job on all the other not vampires, all the other witches.
Yeah.
Just like in terms of like their heads, and they have like the rash and like
Yeah,
spots and
wet
stuff,
skin,
and their teeth are all
scrawny,
like kind of
like
crooked and everything. Like, yeah, it's just like, and again, he always is like showing it in like close-ups and pans, and so they're like all contorted and everything. It's just like, again, it's just it deep this semi-familiar, like you described, like this semi-familiar but deeply unsettling, and like he just is and like that's where he's like evoking, which shows just like getting like mining that horror out of like the camera. Like, it's not like they did anything outside of like the makeup
yeah.
and wardrobe job, but like he just like mines this like creepiness out of just panning around to them, and they just have like these smiles on their face, and like their crooked teeth are like, all over, are just like out and pronounced. It's crazy.
Yeah, one thing I also like, you talk about the pans, like it felt like the witches also like really filled the screen. They felt huge, and I felt like a little kid or a mouse looking up at these like giant, terrifying creatures. Like when Luke is running away from the witches after hearing their plans, and he books it out of there, like he makes it, he's gone.
Which also, I was like, Luke, you picked a terrible route, because he's just like, instead of like going out the door,
he goes right
he
through
just
it
goes
all.
like right through, and they're just like, you're just
with
like,
their arms and their legs, it takes up the screen, like them
Yeah.
grabbing at him low to the ground, like that kind of like, it's like and then he does it again when he's a mouse. Like it's the same sort of low to the ground, stay low, and run fast. He's really good at that.
Which reminds me, that sets up just such an awesome scene in this movie when Luke is like, it's like there near the beach, and Angelica Houston shows up and pushes the baby carriage.
Yeah.
And the woman,
she loved doing that. That's so dastardly.
Yeah, she's just like pushes it, and then like the mom's like,
she like waves to the baby, like the baby knows what she's doing.
It's great.
She is like, she's a dairy farmer milking this part for everything it's got. Like the way, like her impression of Bruno, that like that her whole monologue that she gives about the plan, her spell is terrifying. She commands these witches, like, you all answer to me. She is a powerful speaker, a terrifying witch, an incredible actress. She's amazing in this.
And just how like you think of like how the potion, or the potion like works on them, where they're like just like belching and spewing out this like green smoke and like convulsing everywhere, and then like in the whole scene when they're turning into the mice, like their eyes are bulging out and their mouths are elongating, and like you think about her character, it gets rid of the Angelica Houston and then becomes like the Grand High Witch, but then whenever her character turns into a mouse, it's absolutely terrifying.
Frightening.
But no, it's great. Like, again, it plays almost with just this kind of like the camera work along with the like body horror, just kind of creates this very like creepy, unsettling thing. I loved it.
Oh,
because that's always good. That's always good horror for like kids movies, because that stuff, like, you don't want to make like a slasher movie. Like, that's not gonna work. Like, honestly, even for me now, I'm like, this kind of stuff freaks me out more than like the slasher movie, because like the slasher movie, you get like some jump scares, it lingers with you for a little bit, but that's about it, and then you kind of move on. But like this one, I'm like there's just like images that will sear into your brain because they're just so grotesque and macabre.
So, yeah, there's those like iconic images of your childhood that really scared you. Like I was saying with you, I didn't read the book because the image of the Grand High Witch on the cover of the book scared me so bad. I didn't see the movie until I was an adult because I was like, I'm afraid of that book. Like, that's my childhood nightmare right there. If I had seen this as a kid, I'm sure I would have been like, I need to sleep with the hall light on or something, like,
Well, I wish, and it's kind of goes back to like, it's crazy that this came out, because I'm like, we don't get as many, and that's why we like to do this series, but we don't get as many like just spooky, creepy, unsettling kids movies anymore. Like it's either like kind of horror based, but it's like it's not really taking any risks, or it tries to be like a horror movie. But I'm like, this one, like these types of movies are great because it's kind of like, who the hell is this for? It's just like it's just completely like grotesque, and like it was the same thing with like Return to Oz a couple of years ago. It's just like, who do they make this for? Because it's just strange and it's scary and it's very like it's just it can be abrasive at times because it's just and you're
Yeah.
just like, and I'm like, I wish we just had those types of movies still. Like I like they're just like kind of fun. Like, yeah, they scared the shit out of you when you're a kid, but like then you watch them now and you're like, yeah, these are awesome.
This is great, like a fun little comfort watch. Like, I'm no longer afraid of this, and I value this for being like a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of those that I can really think of, and not anymore. I mean,
well, they're just very safe. It's like they're supposed to be like kind of spooky and scary, but like they kind of undercut themselves because they don't want to be like over spooky and scary because they're like afraid that parents are like, what is this?
This is too graphic for my child to watch.
Yeah, and they're gonna go like bitch at their state legislators, but it's like I don't know, like these are great because these are the movies, at least when you're younger, that you remember, even more so than like, oh, I was too young and I saw like The Exorcist, or I was too young and I saw like Halloween. Like that's also, but like these ones especially because like
it's meant for you. It doesn't feel like you shouldn't have been watching. It's like you were supposed to watch.
You're supposed to watch this and it terrifies.
And it's supposed to scare you.
Yeah.
Like there's no like secret underhand. I snuck into my friend's older brother rented us this R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't pick it up at Blockbuster. Am I dating myself a little?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's true. I agree with you. Like that's a really good point. Absolutely.
Because it's even better when it's like oh, this is it's a Roald Dahl novel. It's for kids. Like your parents like rent it for you and then they put it on. They're like, holy shit.
Like sorry, I didn't mean to traumatize you. Like,
yeah. And that's like next week will be interesting because we have Addams Family next week, and that one's again, it's not like. It's not scary. It's just more. They just have. It's like just this wild.
It's just morbid.
Yeah, this wild, morbid stuff, and like the sense of humor is so like dark and morbid that you're.
And adult.
Yeah, it's great.
I do like that. I think that there's also a nice little demographic of morbid little kids, which I fell into.
Mm-hmm.
I was a morbid little kid. I would watch my little scary TV shows or movies or my episodes of The Addams Family, and I'd go tell my parents about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like they'd watch the movie twice because they'd see it, and then I'd see it, and then I'd go tell them about it.
Yeah.
So there's definitely we don't have those. Where are the morbid little kids these days? Where are they? What are they doing? They're not watching movies. They're not making movies for them anymore.
Yeah, well, it's just like this empty like young children, kind of horror is empty. It's like you don't pick up the horror until it's like teen horror, Like I'm thinking of like the Fear Street movies from last year, which were pretty solid. But that's more like it's like teen, it's like it's pretty violent and it has stuff in there that's like, yeah, you like it's probably like you would assume like 16, 17, 18-year-old, but you don't have like that good like kid horror stuff anymore. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I blame the Christians.
Yeah.
I blame them. It's all their fault.
It's all their fault. It's because it's paganism. It's Satanism.
Yeah.
It's the gays.
I will have to say, in this movie, I don't really know why Rowan Atkinson is in this movie.
He's funny.
He's not even that funny.
No. All he does is
He's not funny. Like you would think he could be like this quirky, silly character, but he's very like straight laced, and then he has like this. He's having like this
affair with
relationship.
the maid.
Yeah, but that's like hinted at, but we never like engage with it. You're just kind of like, I mean, okay, like you do you, I guess.
Yeah, that's weird. That's a weird dynamic. She works for you. You probably hired her. We should take this up with HR.
It's just like I guess we're just gonna like
I guess we're fine.
reference to this. Yeah, I don't know. It's more just like I don't know. It's more just like a weird, like a strange thing to just kind of tack on to be like part of this character.
In it.
He's barely in it. He's very like rule stickler. He's angry at Luke because he brought the mice, and he's having an affair with a maid. Those are his characteristics.
That isn't it. Here comes my cat.
I thought he would be funnier. It's really well.
Yeah, you expect to see that.
I also love. We talked about it a little bit, but I love like the like. Is it Norway or Iceland that they're in?
I don't know. I thought it was like. I thought she was like Bavarian. Like, are we talking about Grandma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Norway. So it's in Norway.
Okay. I thought she was Bavarian.
But I love like the like old, because I was reading that the production found this town in Norway that like was pretty preserved in terms of like it hadn't changed like to be like much more commercial and modern. It still like had the houses and the streets and stuff that were like looked like they were from, you know, probably 1940 or 1950 when they're kind of referencing back. And I honestly like I like if they ever like made like another witches movie instead of remaking it like they did last year, they should have done. It would have been cool to like have the witches, but like in that time period, like some nice creepy, you know, medievalish village.
Yeah, I would like to see the story of how Grandma lost her pinky finger, because we've seen the story of how throughout our story we see like Luke gets a bit of his tail cut off, and then that like my cat is here. Mavis, Hotel Transylvania. That's a good kids horror movie. Well, it's not scary, but
it was considered for the series, but we decided it wasn't scary enough.
Yeah, it's not. It's really fun. But anyways, we watch how Luke loses his tail. He and Grandma are exactly the same. They have the same sensibilities, believe in witches. They're bonded by that, being mutilated, like in the hunt of witches and whatnot. I would like to see them go back and see Grandma, like how she lost that finger. She said it's like a crazy accident or a crazy story or whatever. Like,
yeah, you know, it's like I'm generally the person who's like, hey, they could cut like 30 minutes out of this. I say it's an hour and a half. Add 30 minutes of it, but it's like Grandma's witch hunting backstory.
Yeah, that would be sick. You're dying for it, like you said.
It'd be great.
America's clamoring for it.
I'm telling you, like you have that, and then like in the final act of this movie, she's just like, I didn't think I would need this again, and then like puts on like a whole outfit and is like. And then like her and Angelica Houston like fight. That'd be great.
Duke it out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be sick. Again, we gotta take it up with Roald Dahl's estate.
Did you see the 2021 the Robert Zemeckis Witches?
No, I did not. I saw that Anne Hathaway was in it. I love Anne Hathaway. I missed it. Not like on purpose or anything. It just sort of happened that way.
I would after seeing this one, you can't watch it anymore because it was a whole thing with HBO Max taking off their platform. But
what is always going on with HBO Max? Like,
I don't know.
Put me in the meetings. Like, I'll fix this. This bullshit. Like,
but I'd be curious because, like, one, Robert Zemeckis hasn't really made a good movie in forever, and two, I feel like it would have been like heavy CGI. And so I would have been curious to kind of compare this one, which is so indebted to like the Henson Creature Shop and that stuff compared to like a heavy CGI one. Because I saw like clips and stuff from it, and it was, you know, like Anne Hathaway when she turns into the like Grand High Witch, it was much, it was like they like changed her. It was all like computer stuff, and I was like, this is boring. Fuck this.
That's so boring. It's like how with Tim Burton, all of his stuff like originally was like beautiful, handcrafted with love, practical effects, and then as he learned
on it.
And then and he thinks that the computer shit is better. Like that's how he would prefer all of his movies. Like
Tim's a
isn't that
weird
tough?
dude.
Yeah, that's fact. But anyways,
I don't know. He's got stuff.
baggage.
Yeah.
A lot of whimsical baggage.
Any final thoughts on the witches? I'm a thumbs up. I recommend it's on HBO Max. So check it out.
Oh, is it? That's so funny.
The original is on HBO Max. The new one that HBO Max made is not on there anymore.
That's so funny. Cool. Yeah, I highly recommend. Now that I've seen it, I will show this to my cats next Halloween as part of our family watching. Yeah.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't traumatize them. They'll be a year older, so maybe like it won't be so bad.
Yeah.
More mature.
Okay. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, if you need a nice little spooky movie, if you're looking for some fun, I recommend the Witches. So, all right, well that will wrap up this episode of Cinematary. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/cinematary and on Twitter and Instagram at @cinematary. We're also on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/cinematary if you would like to keep up with the movies that we talked about in this episode. If you would like to support the show, whether that's $1, $5, what have you, if you $100, whatever,
$150,
however much money they have in the Witches to like buy all the candy shops or whatever.
$200. Yeah, like what was it like $500?
A lot of money.
That's chump change.
$500. We'll open candy stores around
more like
England with $500.
A candy box. What are you talking about?
Well, if you have that
for their school,
those
chocolate bars.
If you've disposed of a whole coven of witches and have come into money, well, support the show on patreon.com/cinematary. Thank you to our patrons: Cam, Chad Newsom, Corey Willingham, Candace Sisson, Ron Hayes, Teresa Marsathi, Titus Arthur, and Tyler Chandler. Thank you so much for your patronage. Next week, we're going to be continuing. We've already kind of given it away, but we're going to be continuing our Horror for Kids series with 1991's The Addams Family. Da-da-da-da. We're going to have to really get into it.
We'll practice.
Yeah, we'll have a whole choreography for next week.
Oh, yeah. And costumes.
Yeah, we got to all wear all black. I'll be sure all the people on the episode are aware of the decision.
Please do. So sorry. I'm sorry. I'll text you next time.
Yeah, next time be like, hey, we're dressing up, and I'll be like, so then I have a chance to like just tell you no before we start.
We like to have fun. It's Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Until next week, happy Halloween. Until next week's happy Halloween.